this is a excerpt I'm going to read you here that Xi Jinping said. This is what he says, you're playing with fire here. So I'll just pull up the article part. I don't need to read the caption here. It says, a senior administration official told me that Xi told President Biden at their summit in Bali in November, in essence, I will not be the president of China who loses Taiwan. If you force my hand, there will be a war. You don't understand how important this is to the Chinese people. You're playing with fire. So Xi Jinping has said this to the Biden administration. So the Biden administration knows exactly what they're doing. It sounds like you're going to chime in. I can't see you, but go ahead, Nick, if you were going to chime in.
And I'm glad you had this receipt, because China has made their position clear, because anyone who's been following geopolitics is not propaganda. Propagandists know the only people who've been lying and been the aggressor has been the United States, because the United States and China have been friendly since the 1970s, ever since the United States decided to recognize Taiwan as part of China. Before that, the United States used to use Taiwan as a way to demonize China, the same way they do it now. But since once they decided to normalize relationship with China, they agreed to the one China policy in the 1970s, and that has been our long-standing policy since then. But the United States have held a position of strategic ambiguity on Taiwan, where they lie and mislead people about their position. So they say stuff like Taiwan is contested, even though they know that's directly against United States policy. So then whenever they ask about their policy, they say we actually do support the one China policy. So what they do, they openly antagonize China while still acknowledging the one China policy, because they're trying to probe the beast in China. And they're trying to take advantage of the fact that most people do not know that Taiwan is a part of China. Now, I'm going to share this just quickly, because you shared.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick, and I'll pass back to your screen.
Yeah, for those that asked, that was from the New York Times. That excerpt I showed is from the New York Times. And I'm locked out. I can't show it. I can't show the article because I'm locked out. I'm ad blocked. So
and I'm showing this because of your quote with Xi Jinping when he told Biden directly that Taiwan is the hard red line. And we all know the United States strategy is to cross their enemy's red line and then blame the other country for responding. You know that guy who punches you in the face and they respond and they're like, oh my God, you're being aggressive. That's what the United States foreign policy literally is. So despite the quote you just showed where Xi Jinping said Taiwan is hardline, breaking, you got 200 United States troops that arrived in Taiwan today. I interjected this because I saw this all over my Twitter feed. I saw a lot of people, look at this. My friend Lauren reported on this. Actually, no, she just mentioned it. This is something she responded to.
That guy, I saw that video.
That video
started with that video one time.
I'm gonna play that video eventually. See, this is another example. Sad days ahead. Pentagon, 200 U.S. military trainers arrive in Taiwan. So I'm showing this right after you show that quote because I want to show that Biden and his administration was told this is a red line. And now they're just doing everything they can to escalate more. But despite that, conservatives are still pretending that Joe Biden is weak on China, even though he's escalating away with Taiwan that no president has done. Now, I'm just putting this up here just to show my just some receipts on some stuff I said earlier. They're just showing how China had a big role to play in Yemen. This was even written by Ryan Grimm. To help end the Yemen war, all China had to do was be reasonable. Now, compare that to Joe Biden, who broke his campaign promise and approves arms sales to Saudi Arabia. You want to know what side Bernie Sanders is on? Joe Biden. You want to know what side Marianne Wilson's going to be on? Joe Biden. Because
Joe Biden.
She, in her interview with Glenn Greenwald, she's sure as hell afraid of the Chinese Communist Party, and she want to let you know it. So I'm going to ask you guys, who are you afraid of? Are you afraid of the country that is brokering peace deals that Bernie Sanders failed to get done? Are you afraid of the country that actually responsible for leveling peace in Yemen and Saudi Arabia and Iran that is growing the infrastructure of Africa? Like, when I see the rhetoric that coming from the NATO left, and the NATO left often repeat all the China propaganda, I cannot get more disgusted, and I can't roll my eyes harder at the people who believe that we are any sort of allies or friends. If your worldview is that fucked that you repeating Democratic Party lines over China,
yeah,
we got completely different values. Like that to me, that'd be the same as you like trying to say someone who is anti-gay is your friend. You know what I mean? Like the guy who's anti-gay is not your friend. The same way a Marxist is not your friend. You guys don't believe in the same shit. You know what I mean?